Gambling Show is brought to you by FanDuel. Football fans, the best way for game day is on FanDuel. And the FanDuel Sportsbook app is your home for all of your favorite NFL bets. From yards to touchdowns to who will win, with FanDuel, any play can be the play of the game. And when the Commanders and Packers play Thursday night, FanDuel's giving all customers a 50% profit boost. That's right, you can get in on the action with a 50% profit boost. So make FanDuel your go-to app for any snap. That's FanDuel.com/RingerNFL to bet the Commanders versus the Packers with a 50% profit boost. Play your game with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and over, present in select states, or 18 and over, present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Opt-in request, bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. We do have some prime times, and we've got some big 4 o'clock slate games like the Chiefs and the Eagles. Honestly, I was shocked this game's not a primetime game. It probably should have been Sunday night or Monday Night Football, especially with 2 Monday night games this week. However, you've got this game at 1.5. FanDuel right now, I just wanted to make sure I get an updated look at the lines. I saw Philly minus 1.5 last I checked on the road at Kansas City. JJ, how much do you believe that the Chiefs should be a 1.5 point road favorite?
You know, normally when you talk about Patrick Mahomes,
or excuse me, a Philly being a 1.5 point road favorite.
Yeah, normally you talk about Mahomes as a dog. It's like automatic, gotta take it, don't even think twice about it. And you throw in the extra time that both of these teams have, with the Eagles playing Thursday night against Dallas, and of course with Kansas City playing that game last week in Brazil against the Chargers. I'd be worried about the Chiefs. Now, I'm not betting this game. I can tell you point blank, I know it's a standalone 425 game. I know Ariel, you're saying Sunday night, Monday night. The networks, they love the 425s. They drool, they ooze the 425s. Maybe it's not as much in September, but be that as it may, I'm worried about Kansas City. Kansas City's defense looked awful against Justin Herbert. Kansas City got absolutely punked on both ends of the line of scrimmage. And are they all of a sudden going to find it in another week? They're not going to have Xavier Worthy in this game. He's going to miss a couple of weeks. I need to see it from Kansas City. And I know Philadelphia's passing attack was not there. Raheem, I know there's a little bit of a transition when it comes to the Eagles' offense in the post-Kellen Moore era. But I think FanDuel is telling you all you need to know. The big bad Chiefs, Mahomes, Kelsey, all their pedigree, all their success. Getting 1.5 in this spot, I think there's a reason for it. To me, this game is Eagles or pass. I'm not touching the game. If I were betting this game, I would not bet on Kansas City, and that should tell you a lot.
Okay. So when you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, we know about Mahomes. When the spread is between -3 and +3, he's 15-8-1, 65% against the spread since he came into the league. The interesting thing about this game is that if you look at the NFL schedule, week 2, a lot of times you'll see those 0-1 teams going up against a 1-0 team, and it's typically a positive expected value wager to bet on those 0-1 teams. Now, my model actually makes the Chiefs -1.5, right where they open it. The Chiefs open up as favorites. The bettors, they push this to the Eagles being favorite. And I think that's probably the wrong move. I know the Chiefs, they lost Rashee Rice. I know they lost Xavier Worthy. We don't know if he's going to play or not. But it's a difference between going into a game and knowing that a player isn't playing versus losing him on the first drive of the game. So I think the Chiefs will be able to, if he's not playing, they're able to put together a game plan going into the game. So I actually lean the Chiefs in this matchup. And I just don't like the fact that the Philly offense, to me, Kevin Patulu, I just don't like the game that he called against the Cowboys. And they scored 0 second half points against the Cowboys defense, which many people regard as the worst in the league. So I think that's going to be an issue. I think this could be a Brian Johnson situation with Philadelphia. And I think people are underestimating the new offensive coordinator. And then when you look at the defense, they lost a lot of guys. Obviously, Josh Sweat, They've never really solved that second cornerback issue opposite of Quinion Mitchell. So I lean towards the Chiefs, but really I like the under in this matchup. I like the under 47. And, I look at
This
this.
total's gone up too, Raheem, from 45.5.
I disagree with the market. I mean, and it's just me. Obviously, some sharp money pushed this up, but I think the under is the play because you look at the Chiefs, 22nd in red zone touchdown percentage last year. Last week, they only converted 1 of 3 red zone attempts. And the Eagles actually had the second highest run pass ratio in week 1, 61% to about 39%. So I'm just looking at these two teams who they tend to get into leads. And in the second half, they're running out the clock. So I like the under.
Raheem and JJ on opposite sides yet again. I'm not feeling like taking a side in this game because I just hope they both have fun and that we all have fun watching it. Travis Kelce,
Look
though,
at you.
not going to have a good game.
What's the gut, Ariel?
No,
Gut.
Travis Kelce not going to have a good game. He's going under 53.5 receiving yards. The Eagles defense has been the best in the league against tight ends for the last 2 years. Only 32% of tight ends last year went over their receiving yards prop. Over the receiving yards prop against the Eagles. Travis Kelce had 2 catches for 47 yards last week. Fine. This prop's 53.5, and he's getting a defense way better than the Chargers against tight ends. Last year, faced 2 defenses, top 10 against tight ends. Kelce had 4 catches for 17 yards against the 49ers, 5 catches for 30 yards against Houston. In fact, 3 of his last 4 games against Philly, Travis Kelce, dating back to 2021, have gone under his receiving yards prop. So I'm going to take the under. Travis Kelce, 53.5 receiving yards. I absolutely love that bet going into this week. And I know people will ask, what about the injuries? What about the missing wide receivers? The Eagles are just really good at defending against Travis Kelce. They know exactly where Mahomes is going. So let somebody else on the Chiefs make a big play for Patrick Mahomes this week in a big 4:00 game. Nothing?
That's your move. Okay,
That's
so
it.
you're not going to give us
No
a
gut.
play. Fine, you'll give us anti-Travis Kelce. Fine, I'll accept it.
Okay, I feel like that's enemy enough. Like that's enemy enough territory for some people to hate me. So under Travis Kelce for me, the guys both like one side Philly, one side Kansas City, Tampa Bay and Houston. I actually really like this game because again, I feel the public's really high on Tampa Bay and Houston now. People are kind of sleeping on. I feel like we're not getting as much CJ Stroud hype as we did last year. This year, everyone's like, oh, I'm down on Houston, blah, blah, blah. But they're 2.5-point favorites at home in prime time, Monday Night Football, Texans hosting the Bucs. Raheem, you laying it with the Texans, or you think that the road dog has some value?
I'm going to let JJ take this one first because I think this is one he actually feels strong about.
I appreciate the team effort there, Raheem. And this is what happens, Ariel, when you get to spend a lot of time with an individual. My guy knows me very, very well. Now,
Who do you like so much?
I love the Houston Texans. In fact, I'm going to be advocating like crazy for us at the end of this show to make sure it's included in the Ringer 107.
I like it. I'm down.
Now, listen, nobody loves Tampa Bay and Baker Mayfield more than me. I am a Baker Mayfield fan.
Are you sure about that?
Oh, I am sure. I bet them to win the division. I bet they're over for wins. I might have a ticket on them to win the Super Bowl. I think you nailed it, though, Ariel, in your synopsis of this game. A lot of people now have really strong feelings towards the Bucs. They like Mayfield. They saw what Ibuka was able to do. They see the dramatic win in the division against Atlanta, and the consensus is, oh, the Texan offense is broken. Now, it might be. They have offensive line issues. I don't know if they're going to be able to run the football, but that defense is still an absolute beast. That defense still played incredibly well against the Los Angeles Rams last week. And let's not ignore the fact that's a tough situation. You're going on the road. You're going to the West Coast. You're playing a well-coached McVay team. I'm going to take the pedigree of the Houston defense at 0-1 to come out with a little bit more oomph, to come out with a little bit more spunk. And this line should tell you a whole lot. It opened at 1.5. It's now at 2.5 on the FanDuel Sportsbook. I am comfortable laying it here. I think it is a great situation for the Houston Texans. And Raheem, you read my mind, Poppy. I'm on the Texans big on Sunday. It's one of my favorite plays of the week.
I love the big.
So I like the Texans as well. And like that week 1 game, they almost won. And you look at the first half, the Rams really couldn't generate anything. And they have a a Hall of Fame quarterback in Matthew Stafford. Obviously, got Puka Nacua. You got Devontae Adams. That first half was a real struggle for the Rams. And as bad as the Houston offensive line is, it just feels like the defense has been consistently good enough to keep them in games. You look at the stats from that game, the Rams only had a 41% success rate. And if Wale doesn't fumble in the end, they probably fumble this. And they probably win that game. And this line is probably 3.5 or so. So I do think there's some value here at -2.5 against a Falcons team, which really couldn't stop a Buccaneers offense that they were banged up. They were missing Tristan Wirfs. They were missing Chris Godwin. They were missing McMillan. So I like the Texans here. I think JJ is dead on. He said this on our Monday show, and I think this is definitely one we should put in the Ringer 107.
Yeah. Can we get you on board, Ariel?
I'm on board because I really like CJ Stroud this week. I was trying to see, they're up now on FanDuel. CJ Stroud over 32.5 pass attempts. So going back to last season, the Bucs actually allowed the second most pass attempts per game to quarterbacks and the third most passing yards per game. Last week, they allowed the Bucs the fifth most pass attempts at 42. They allowed the fourth most passing yards in week 1 as well. So CJ Stroud at home to make this statement game to say, hey, we're still here. We're still contenders. Over 32.5 pass attempts, over 229.5 passing yards. He, in week 1, only threw 27 attempts for 188. However, the Rams are a much better defense than the Bucs. The Bucs, against bottom 10 pass Ds, last year, you saw CJ Stroud go over this number in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 of the games that he played against bad pass defenses for pass attempts. And the passing yards around the same number. So I would say if you guys like the Texans, CJ Stroud to have a big game makes a lot of sense, and it's totally correlated with the team like Tampa, whose defense has really fallen off since the Brady era in the last couple of years. I don't trust Tampa Bay's D, especially that pass D. CJ Stroud, that's where they'll excel. Give him and Nico Collins some kind of great game together to say, hey, the Texans are still a legitimate playoff contender. So over pass attempts, passing yards correlated with those Houston Texans laying 2.5. SGP it. We love the SGP. Denver and Indianapolis, a game that's definitely not as sought out on people's cards. You got Indy laying 2.5, which is kind of shocking because everyone's high on Denver this year. Is this an overreaction, Raheem?
Oh, first things first, Indy's not laying 2.5.
Yeah,
oh no, that's
what.
Okay, our rundown was wrong. That's what I thought.
Right.
So Denver's laying 2.5 on the road.
That's why we'll always keep it real here, Ariel.
Okay, so our rundown was wrong. So I was like, am I reading this wrong? Denver's laying 2.5, live line, 43.5 total. Indy only getting 2.5. Okay. I still am not as high on Indy as I know that they looked as good as they did last week, but maybe it's a teaser spot.
Okay, so first things first, I want to say I hate this game because it brings back flashbacks of that weird game last year where, Indy pretty much dominated the game and they were about to go up 21-7. And then
Jonathan Taylor fumbled. Don't remind me.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor literally just throws the ball out of the end zone, and just doesn't score for no reason. And then next thing you know, Anthony Richardson just can't do anything on offense. And then the Broncos end up blowing him out. So that's what it reminds me of. And then obviously you have these two teams playing again under different circumstances. Last week, the Indianapolis Colts and Daniel Jones, they look like the best team on earth because they're beating up JJ's team. And then the Broncos, they're struggling. Bo Nix looks horrible. I think this is going to be a little bit of a shock to the system for Daniel Jones and that Colts offense. We know how good this Denver defense is. But the question is, what are you getting from Bo Nix? And I honestly do not know. When I look at my model, I have this game 21-21. This total has been bet down from 44.5 to 42. Right where my model is, about 42.5. So there's no more value on the under. I know the bundle, I think he liked the under earlier this week. That value's gone. So I can't tell you, hey, take the under now. It'll probably still go under because I do think that Denver defense is for real. And I just don't know what you're going to get from Bo Nix. So I probably lean in that direction, even though a lot of the value's been sucked out. But at 2.5, I don't know what to do with the side on this one. I guess you could lean towards the Colts, but I mean, you even missed the best of the number on that. That was, I mean, you could if you gotten +3, you're great. I think anything under 3, you're kind of looking the Broncos' way.
See, what's interesting about this game, Ariel, is if you go back to preseason narratives that I had, that Raheem may have had, that you may have had, I was very high on the Broncos going into the season. I was not particularly high on the Colts going into the season, but I have to react to what the number is telling me here. They threw up 3.5 right when the week 2 lines came out. It immediately got bet down to 3. It immediately got bet down to 2.5. So what does that tell you? There are concerns, at least the way I see it, to what Bo Nix and this Bronco offense is going to be able to do on the road in this environment. And look, I don't think Daniel Jones is going to look like Peyton Manning again. Okay, the Dolphin defense, I felt like I could have made a couple of those throws on Sunday with some of the wide open windows. But I think the mistake I may have had in evaluating the Indianapolis Colts, they are talented from a skill position standpoint. They are. Jonathan Taylor can run the football. Michael Pittman can make plays. Pierce can make plays. You know I'm a sucker for a Penn State tight end. I love me some Ty Warren. And the defense for Indianapolis, because of Staten Island's finest, Coach Lou Anarumo, Gus Bradley out. Thank God he was a stiff. Should have been fired years ago. Now they got a real defensive coordinator in there. And look at what he was able to do to Tua, and look at what he was able to do to Mike McDaniel's offense just a week ago. I may have egg on my face for this because, again, I have Denver to make the playoffs. I have Denver over. I have Indianapolis under. But the way I'd read this game, and this could be the classic JJ, you fell for it after what you saw in week 1, I like the Colts. I think the Colts going to win the game.
Oof. I don't know if I could go there. Indianapolis, second most rush attempts per game to running backs last year. They did struggle in that category, but Denver's game's not so much about running the football at the moment. And then on the other side, Denver allowed the 5th most pass attempts per game last year, but they're really good against the run. So at least they're going to stop the thing that's the biggest weapon for the Colts, which is Jonathan Taylor, their running back. If you like the Colts, JJ, I would tease them. A 2.5, 6-point
it's
teaser.
A T spot. Okay.
It was like the
only
only that could be the only way. Honestly, the under is where the steam is. 43.5. I saw move down to 42.5. It could be an overreaction that the Colts offense can be like gun and run and be great. Maybe they both take the Colts take a step back offensively. Denver's pass rush gets really good and puts a lot of pressure under Daniel Jones. Maybe this game stays low scoring. So I think my lean on this game would be the under. Thoughts on the total?
I can see that. I just, to Raheem's point, feel like you missed some serious value on that, right, Dream?
I mean, we missed the value, but I mean, we do have to remember that 41 is key. So it didn't get there yet. I mean, that feels good. So, but when you look at Daniel Jones' career to the under, 25 and 10, 25, 10 and 1, 71% in his 36 home starts, going under by average of 4.4 points per game. Including his home debut against the Dolphins last week. So we know he's not going to perform as well as he did last week. And if you're not getting much from Bo Nix, this is probably an under. Just the interesting thing about these games is that I think we saw like unders were like 11-1, 12-1 last week. It almost feels like the offenses, just haven't caught up to the defenses, even with the new rules. Like you have new rules where basically teams are starting at the 35 now. Like, what do you need?
Well, the kickoffs are different, too. You see it now with the kickoffs and the way these teams are handling it. They're not just booning in the end zone anymore. There's a little strategy involved there, Raheem, trying to pin them back.
Yeah, so, I actually thought it would be higher scoring going into the season because of the way, teams are just getting good field position, but that hasn't happened.
Well, we're going to have to see how this weird game pans out between the Colts and the Broncos. We might actually start to learn something about these two pretty new teams, especially offensively. This game with the Bills, they're laying 6.5 on the road at the New York Jets, total 46.5. Bills coming off that hard-fought game, major comeback. The situation, we always talk situations in the NFL. You're on the road at a division rival who has a pretty good defense, the New York Jets. I know that the Jets on paper are never scary as an opponent, with the Bills coming off of a really tough game against Baltimore, so much excitement. Oh my God, this team made one of the most epic comebacks ever. I can't lay 6.5 with Buffalo, JJ.
I'm right there with you, Ariel. And unfortunately, you're not going to get north of a touchdown like you would have a few days ago. But let's not ignore the fact that your boy Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry were able to go and run all over this Buffalo defense. And I don't want to rehash what happened at the end of Sunday Night Football.
Oh, you don't
Because
want to torture me? That's so sweet.
well, I was going to say, torture all of us. Listen, I was just as tortured as you. I know it's not my team, but it is my wallet. It is my pride. It is my ego. And yeah, I can't stand the Buffalo Bills for a variety of different reasons. So it was disgusting. It was the cherry on top of a you-know-what Sunday at the end of week one for me. So misery loves company. So I was right there with you. I don't like this spot for Buffalo because the Jet offensive line showed me a lot against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not the biggest Justin Fields fan. I thought he was incredibly efficient in moving.
They were in the game. They should have won, but they
Ariel
jetted.
had one of the best games of his career in week one against Pittsburgh. And historically speaking, Josh Allen, he owns the Miami Dolphins. He owns the New England Patriots. For whatever the reason, when he plays at MetLife Stadium, he's not been great historically against the New York Jets. This is another one where I may just be a damn fool for getting sucked into what I saw from Justin Fields in week one. Raheem, to me, this is a Jets or pass spot. I can't lay it with Buffalo. No way.
Yeah, it is a pretty bad spot for Buffalo. They're coming off of an emotional, comeback win against the Ravens. But also next Thursday, they're on a short week. They host the Miami Dolphins. They're 9.5-point favorites to your Dolphins next week. So it's a really
that line should be 17.5 against the Dolphins. Sorry to cut you off there, but you can't make that line high enough next week. Just a teaser for what we'll be doing this week at next week at this time. Just saying.
Yes, it's a really tough spot. I do think the Jets should be able to keep this game close. We saw the Ravens averaging north of 9 yards per play. It felt like you were just watching a video game for large chunks of that game. And the Buffalo defense is just so banged up that I just don't know how they continue to get any stops. And I feel like this is the best that Justin
Raheem,
Fields
though, are we sleeping on the fact the Jets game was also very close to the Steelers? They just came out on the losing end of it?
Yeah, you gotta let me finish my point. The point I'm trying to make is that I think there's going to be a lot of points. Like on Monday, I actually gave out the over. Like, I just don't see how either one of these two teams stop each other. Now, that's all the way up to 46.5. You guys know I'm not really high on, giving out a play and then giving out a worse number later on in the week. But I think this is a high scoring game. And I think I would lean towards the Jets, but I would need a 7. But I gave out 45.5 on Monday's show. So I think I'm sticking with that.
Do we think we're going to get a 7 in the market by the time we hit Sunday, Raheem, or we think this number is kind of where it's at?
I think it's where it's at. Like, I think it's, pretty much you've got.
I'm not even willing to put the Bills in a teaser. Like, I don't even want to tease the Bills down. I really don't want any action on the Bills.
It's a scary game. I agree with that, Ariel. It's a scary game.
when it comes to the teaser, I'm not fond of when you're teasing. I don't know how familiar you are with Wang teasers, but with Wang teasers, you definitely don't want to tease a road favorite of 6.5 down. Because historically,
I'm just saying for people that do like teasers, like I don't
if you like teasers,
I don't mind teasing a 6 down to pick if I feel like a team's gonna win, which is what I'm gonna do I already did it with the Lions this week. Like I teased the Lions down from a pick, and I know they're at home, so your point is you wouldn't do it with a road favorite.
Yeah, with a road favorite, it changes the calculus a little bit. Like, and so it's just like I think if you're looking to tease the Bills, like I think you're in a really bad spot, regardless.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, even before even diving into the actual handicap of it, you're in a bad spot because you're teasing a road favorite, and those are the teams that tend to disappoint more often than not.
Right. I have absolutely no faith in the Bills. And granted, they can make us look very silly because the Jets could easily be just as burnt as from last week's game against Pittsburgh. However, the one place that the Bills do struggle is also against pass-catching backs, so you could keep that in mind. I always love those pass-catching backs, and taking overs on receiving yards for running backs. Feel like it's a pretty beatable market historically.